Making an interesting sound. Okay. Please subscribe to this channel and give it a thumbs up. We are in the duties of the heart. Chol Avot. We're on page 809. We're starting part 5. Okay. So it says, what forms of abstinence are in accord with our Torah? Remember, he was going through abstinence, and some parts are from the Torah. Some of what people do are from the Torah, some are not. And so he's saying, what is in accord with our Torah? Because we went through a whole bunch of other things that, while they may have the root from us, they've gone a little too far. So fine. So he says, I say in response to this question that the abstinence advocated by our Torah is of 3 kinds. One of these is in our dealings and associations with other people, which he's going to, which he's going to say. The second, he's going to elucidate all of these. The second relates to what is solely our own regarding our physical senses and external limbs. What are you doing? Oh, I was trying to figure out what's going on there. Musical chairs, okay. The third relates to what is ours alone regarding our inner selves, our traits, our convictions, and the thoughts, good and bad, hidden in our hearts. I'll explain this in a concise form as well as I can with Hashem's help. So the first 2 are going to be fairly quick. The last one, dealing with our traits, that's when he goes on. We're on page 809. I don't know the book. Okay.
I did not put it away last week, but I keep it.
Your dog ate it, right? Okay. Okay. So, like I said, the first 2 he's going to do in quick fashion, fairly quick fashion, and the third one he's going to take a little while with to really go out, because that's what he's looking for. He's looking for the duties of the heart. Okay, so that's what he's going to expand on. So now, for the first kind, as to the way of abstinence that we should adopt in our association with other people, this includes greeting them joyfully, with a cheerful countenance, and relating to all with humility and lowliness, gentle speech, and a humble spirit. Now, what you're seeing is a major difference between what they held as far as when you should meet people and what we do. In other words, when I look at you, when I talk to you, when you talk to me, we look at each other in the eye. If we didn't look at each other in the eye, you would think that I'm shifty, that I'm trying to cheat you. So when we look at each other in the eyes, it's considered the proper way to do. In these times, it wasn't proper. To look at your eyes would be to say that I own you. Right? Because you normally wouldn't look at somebody. That's why when the emperor would walk in, they would always shift their or the king. They would never look at the king's eyes.
Never look at the king.
Right. So you couldn't do that. As a matter of fact, when the Kohen is duchening, you're never supposed to look at the Kohen, because when I duchen, so the divine Shekhinah is supposed to be resting upon my hands, and if you would look at that, that would be an arrogant situation. So we push ours down. Now again, today we don't have that thought, and today, like if you would look down, it would be considered to be like it should shifty or something else. At the same time, what we also are supposed to do is he wants us to greet people cheerfully and with a nice countenance. Now here's something else. And it means put your own garbage away, because everybody has garbage in their life. We all have sadness. We all have things going on. So, but when I'm talking to you, I'm supposed to say, good morning, right, like that, and give a nice happy face. Because what happens is, by the way, when I give you a happy face, if I smile at you, correct, that's what you're going to do too. You're going to smile back, which is why when the Mishulachim come to my door, and I always smile, what they say, I love coming to your house because you always smile. You're such a happy guy. Baruch Hashem. I put it on well. Okay. But it's, bottom line is, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Nobody else has to, what's the song? Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrows. Well, nobody's supposed to know the troubles you've seen, nor about your sorrows. Okay. It's not, you don't put your garbage on them. That's the first step. Okay. It also includes showing them compassion, kindness, and grace without burdening them, speaking to them favorably, performing acts of kindness for them, not for hope not hoping to benefit from them or to gain what is theirs. Again, chesed shel emet, that's what he's pushing. He's saying when you are nice to people, you shouldn't do it because you want something back. It should be altruistic. Okay, I said this morning, I don't know if there's such a thing going along with, and you guys would know what I'm talking about, so just roll with the punches. Friends, when Phoebe argues with Joey about do you know anything I'm talking about? No, okay, fine. It's Baruch Hashem, you don't watch TV. Okay. Or at least not that. Okay. So it's, but I remember there was a fight between Phoebe, I think it was Joey or Ross, whoever it was.
Somebody.
Yeah, somebody. Where she was trying to prove there's no such thing as an altruistic, that we never do anything altruistically. We always want something from that. And the truth is, that goes against Musar. It goes against what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to do it altruistically, not expecting anything in return. Now, again, you don't have to go that far. Just go to a brotherhood, a sisterhood, a donor. It's the simplest thing, the donors. Or, like I said, any of these people who give something, what they want is, even though they say they don't, they want the thanks. They want the acknowledgement. They're not doing it altruistically. I wish they would. By the way, the real test of am I doing it altruistically is when I don't get the appreciation, do I pull back? And most people who are volunteer burn out. Why they burn out? Because they feel they're not appreciated. Well, why are you doing this? You're doing it altruistically, right? Or as you would say about when you were president, I'm doing it for the covet. That's what it is. I'm doing it for the honor. I want the honor. When I walk in, they should stand up. It should be. They should sing. What's the presidential song? Da 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 da. When you get in the Leah, that's what you want. Ya Mod Hanasi. Oh, that's worth it. That's worth all the yelling. Okay, because you're doing it for the honor. No, I'm not saying you did, but obviously that's the joke that goes with it. Okay, but that's what he's saying. When you're doing it, don't hope for the benefits. Okay, that's the abstinence. That's staying away from it. That's what people do, like I said. It includes helping them to enhance their religious life and secular affairs and showing them the way that is pleasing to Hashem. Again, I'm not doing it for you. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for you. Okay. It includes bearing patiently with their harsh words. This is always difficult. You're trying to do something, somebody, what you consider a favor, and doing it without any desire for good wishes or anything else. And what they do, they give you harsh words. You know when this happened, by the way? Think if, and I'll get in trouble for this one because I'm really dating myself. But the Jews of the 60s who marched with Martin Luther King, okay, they could not understand for the life of them why the blacks didn't like the Jews. Here they were marching with them, they were doing everything, and the response of the blacks, African Americans, call what you want. I really understand what I'm saying. Their response was, I never asked you for anything. And if you read the book, The Pawnbroker, okay, that was, it's an interesting book, but it's looking at, from the ghetto, is looking at the Jew as the money lender. That's like pawnbroker. The money lender and the one who's ripping everybody off. Blah 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 blah. But that really was how they viewed it. They never asked us for help. So when we went out and bent over backwards and tried to help them to become less abused by the white man, okay, that was the 60s. So, but the black man said, I never asked you Jews to do that. You must have a reason since you run the world, blah, 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 blah. The anti-Semitism was rampant, and they couldn't understand it. Okay? But that's what he's saying. You're going to get a harsh word. You're going to do somebody a favor, and what's your reward? They yell at you. What kind of nonsense is that? So he says, it includes bearing patiently with their harsh words, pouring out one's heart before Hashem and not before them. When something happens, you don't go to them. Well, I mean, you may say, that hurt. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But bottom line is, you have to go to Hashem and say, Rabban Shalom, thank you for the kapara, thank you for the atonement. And that's it. Everything's for my best. But that's all you can do. You should avoid gatherings for eating, drinking, and merriment, and when in their company be on guard against all that might lead to the disobedience of God, or overstep the bounds of modesty, the restraints of morality, and the like. So that's what you have to do. I can help you, I can do these things, but I don't get involved in the little parties everybody's going to have, because when you get involved in the parties, you potentially could go off the derech. That's the first kind of the abstinence we're supposed to have. Again, I should help people, but also I should be on guard against anything that's going to lead me away from Torah. You have a question, or you just scratching your back? Okay. So I didn't know. It looked like I had a Grivaltic Kakashi. You're going to go like this, okay? I know. I remember when I was in college, I also was this sphere, so I was growing a beard. And when a man grows a beard, he always goes like this. When you don't have a beard, you don't go like this. Right. So one of the girls said, the only reason you guys grow a beard is so you can go like this. I said, you may be right. I don't know.
Check
so yeah,
that's growing.
My niece, she was one of them when she was younger, when she would suck her thumb.
Okay.
She had this piece of hair she would put across like this, and she'd put her thumb, and she'd be going like
there you go. There you go.
Just like that was a comfort.
That was a compromise between the two measures. Okay. So now the second kind. The second kind again is the abstinence we should adopt on the second kind. That which relates solely to ourselves with regard to our senses and external limbs may divide it into two parts. Namely, the first is the forbidden, the negative commandments, and number two, the permitted, namely all the different kinds of permitted pleasures. So each of these parts may be divided as follows, into three as follows. The forbidden, anything that is forbidden to us must be one of three things. Either it is, number one of the things for which there is a natural longing, for example, fornication, theft, usury, gluttonous consumption of forbidden foods and drink. Now it's interesting, they would say that, he would say theft is something that we want. We have a natural longing for that, the theft. Why? Because I want what you have. And that's why they have the commandment, don't be jealous of what your neighbor has. Right?
Because jealousy would lead to,
could possibly. So you want theft. You want to steal what he has. Usury. We all, by the way, why? You know what usury is, right? Getting interest on your money. I give you money and I want interest. Why do I want interest? Because this is a normal thing, by the way. I would say, okay, I have $100. If I put it into the stock market, I can get an average of 7% interest. Great. Growth on that money. On the other hand, if I give it to you, I don't get any growth. So why would I want to give it to you? You're killing me. You're taking my money away. Okay. So it's a natural desire to make money, should make money. As every rich person will tell you, watch any video you want. Rich people don't work for money. Money works for rich people. That is called cash flow. They always want to be cash flow. So they want the money to work for them. When they're asleep, they want the money making money. Okay? It shouldn't be that you have to make the money. Yeah.
Would it also include something like, I guess it could be either modern or older. If your neighbor wants to borrow something that you have, I'm thinking, modern times it'd be like, let's say your lawnmower or something like that. In older times, it would be maybe some kind of tool to do something, whatever.
Correct.
And then you're trying to think right away, if I let this guy use my thing,
he owes me.
Yeah, he owes me something.
He owes me.
Yeah.
Right. And by the way, more than that, when you lend let's use today, when you lend your lawnmower or something else, and they return it to you, but they didn't clean it off, you get very upset. Why didn't you clean off my lawnmower? I didn't give you a dirty lawnmower. I cleaned it off, so you saw it clean. You should clean it. My father, whenever he would borrow my uncle's car, okay, so once his car broke down, we're talking about junk boxes to trunk box, okay. So every once in a while, the trunk box didn't work. So he would has to borrow my uncle's car. My uncle used to leave the car in his driveway, which he only used once a week. So, but my father, whenever he would return the car, always gave more gas than there was originally, because he never wanted to be said that he abused it. So he made sure that there was more gas, And that's it. And he taught us, when you borrow somebody's car, you shouldn't have to, but if you do, you make sure the gas is there, so that they don't say anything negative. I've had people borrow my car, and I gave them a full tank, and I come back with a half a tank. I'm thinking, they couldn't have stopped to put gas in? Okay, that's for my father, granted. But
Return it in better condition than you borrowed it.
yeah, or at least equal. At least equal. If I filled it up, you can't do more than that. But it bothered me. Like, why am I paying for you? Okay, if you don't have money, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's something else. Yeah. But if you have money, you're borrowing my car to go shopping, the least you can do is put gas in. So, you know, but that's what I'm saying. That's how it is. That's you. Now, by the way, what my father was doing, kind as it was, but he was giving interest to my uncle, which wasn't good either. You have to give the right amount. So it's good and bad. I mean, and my uncle didn't, and my uncle never asked for it. It wasn't a quid pro quo. Is that what you're saying? Quid pro quo. Yeah, I'm saying. Okay.
Can you give a gift for the use of something?
Well, again, only if you shouldn't. You shouldn't, because that's the form of interest. So you have that whole situation. But again, I mean, if I see it's, you know, when you what's it called? Rent a car. When you rent a car, so what happens? You have to return it to the wherever the needle was. Okay. So what happens is, obviously, if I'm filling the car up, they're not going to cry about it, right? So you know, but then the next customer wins on that, or loses, whatever the case is going to be.
They win on it.
Somebody wins. I mean, there's a couple people winning on that. That I filled it up. But that's what I'm saying. There's usury here, and we all desire it, but the Torah says, no, you shouldn't do it. Fine. And then again, gluttonous consumption of forbidden food and drink. Who doesn't want to have, I don't know, pick on what you want.
Of forbidden food, not just overeating.
Correct. No, forbidden food. When you're walking by, who doesn't want, I really shouldn't say because I don't want it, but a hamburger, what's it called? At McDonald's.
Bacon and eggs.
Bacon and eggs. Who wouldn't want such delicious food? By the way, you're supposed to say, we're all supposed to say, I would love to have the food, but I can't have the food because the Torah forbids me. That's really should be the level we're at. So some people, I mean, I include myself, I can't stand the smell of ham. To me, it's just a disgusting smell. But and I don't know if it's because I'm Jewish or not. It's just disgusting. And
it's
also,
so ingrained in your mind that
I don't know. No, I don't know that.
Gemara that says, well, you just said
right. I just said it. You're supposed to say, "I wish I could." You know,
I don't not want to eat it because it tastes bad. It's got to taste good. A lot of people eat it.
Right.
No, it's French fries.
French fries, McDonald's French fries, you can't be. Right?
I know.
Right. Or pizza. I mean, pizza when you're walking.
I remember French fries.
French fries. I'm saying when you walk through the pizza store, again, that's the stuff. But I'm saying that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to really say, I wish I could have the shrimp. I wish I could have whatever, a cocktail. I think that's what they used to call it. But I can't because it's kosher. That's what we should all be doing. I should be zeicha to hit that one time. But okay, but the point is, we all have the desire, he's saying, for that gluttonous consumption. And then number 2, something that by nature one neither abhors nor desires, such as wearing a garment woven of wool and flax, sewing diverse seeds together, eating meat and milk cooked together, eating forbidden fruit, and many other similar things. That's another similar to this, that's another type of thing that we should stay away from. Or number 3, something that is repulsive to our nature and abhorrent to our souls, such as eating the flesh of a beast that died of itself, what we call roadkill, okay? Or had not been ritually slaughtered, eating the blood, or eating any of the many creatures that one would not wish to eat, even if they were permitted to be eaten, such as the 8 species of reptile and the like. Now, the poor Bachya apparently didn't know how people eat. And people like to eat ants and grasshoppers and all these other things. I mean, they're delicacies in some places. Right. So I'm just saying. So it's interesting that we're seeing, you know, his sort of what he didn't like when he did like. But he's giving it 3 levels. 1 is I want it, natural desire. 2 is I don't really care about it. It's not. I really don't desire to wear wool and linen, but at the same time I wouldn't stop. So that's something else. And then the one is, nah, I have no interest in this anyway. But okay, fine. It's something you should do. So you should discipline yourself, my brother, by abstaining from all that Hashem has commanded you to abstain from until the disgust you feel and the abhorrence you have for forbidden pleasure, forms of pleasure and desires reach such an extent that the most revolting of the forbidden things and those that are attractive to others are equally abhorrent to you. Again, that's going against what we said, right? I should say I would want to do this, but he's saying no, you should make it, you should discipline yourself that's abhorrent to you. Okay? Thus, forbidden sexual relations, taking money in prohibited ways, self-aggrandizement through the humiliation of one's fellow and his disparagement, otherwise known as Lashon Hara, which today is, of course, the highest form of acceptance in society. If I can insult you, that's, before, even after Don Rickles, if I can insult you and do what I have to do, I am the top. All of which a person by nature is strongly attracted to should be as repulsive to you as eating mice, blood, or reptiles, which are repulsive and abhorrent to you by nature. So that's what he's trying to get to.
It's funny that you mentioned Don Rickles. It seems to me the Chafetz Chaim, they talk about
he's Nifter, I think.
Huh?
He died, I think. Don Rickles, I think died.
Recently,
yeah.
But doesn't the Chafetz Chaim mention that you're not supposed to even if everybody knows you're joking, you're not supposed to
correct
degrade. And that was Don Rickles.
Yeah, that's right.
Trademark.
Correct.
Mean, everybody knew it was a big joke.
Correct.
That he wasn't serious, but
correct. No, he was not supposed to do it. It was there's a lot of things you're not supposed to do. Huh. It's like people who do magic. It's against halacha to do magic.
Really?
Mm-hmm. There's very few heterim, but for the most part, David Copperfield is in trouble.
Not like your card tricks, like big stuff.
No, anything that's deceiving to the eyes. The hand is quicker than the eye. So
sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand. Yeah. Right. Even so, I know it's not true, and I know it's a trick. Blah blah blah. Fine. You're still not supposed to do it. If I had to figure out a reason for that, by the way, I would go more, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I'll leave it there. I would say you're training yourself to deceive. And that's just not a good midah to have.
What about, there was something...
But by the way, again, some of the magicians are really great out there. I mean, we had one in our little town that was really good. He doesn't do it anymore, but he was very good.
I remember in San Antonio, some kid's bar mitzvah party or something, and a lot of people were invited, and,
right.
and they had a non-Jewish magician. I remember the rabbi talking about that.
Right.
He said somehow there was a certain heter that allowed for us to watch it.
We know it's fake, so it's not like we really believe it is happening, like a seance and all these things. We know that it's fake. We know that it's all parlor games.
Yeah.
But at the same time, again, you don't want to get trained. You don't want to get used to seeing this sort of thing, or certainly performing. I think that for a non-Jew to do it, I don't know if there's I don't think there's a problem with them doing it. I forget. I gave this class a long time ago for Lunch and Learn. So I forget what if everybody was excluded. I know that we're not supposed to. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of dissent, a lot of prohibitions against that. We even bring down the kids to Shulchan Aruch. As far as the non-Jew doing, I forget if they were also prohibited. If we're prohibited to hire them to do it. But certainly we know that people do it at party and from people. It's not. I'm not talking about just the bar mitzvahs where it's more bar than mitzvah, but we know people do it. So they must have some heter. Yeah. But I just don't remember it offhand. But again, it's probably just training you not to do it. That's all. But he's saying again, you should see these forbidden things that you desire. That's a normal desire. You should make it as repulsive as that which is repulsive to you. So in other words, the smell of ham is horrible to me. So I should see whatever, again, pick on his thing. Fornication. obviously not with improper people, I should see that as abhorrent. I could never do it. I don't even want to think about it. But to think about it will ruin my day. Okay, that's what he's saying. Okay, that's what he wants to get to. So when you attain this degree of abstinence from the forbidden, without forcing your nature or feeling it as a hardship, you will belong to the class of people who are free from sin and saved from stumbling, of whom it is said, no evil will befall the righteous. Okay, so that's what level he wants you to get to. The permitted. Now, he said there are three ways of partaking of the permitted things left to our discretion. The first way is partaking only food that is not consumed for pleasure, namely food that without which one could not live or continue to exist. So in other words, instead of eating drakes, I like drakes. Okay, so no, drakes, you can give me more. Okay, but without eating all those wonderful things, so we should only partake of food that we need to survive. So that's why, you know, when your parents would tell you, eat your broccoli or whatever you're supposed to do. So that's what we're talking about. Green beans, right? But not the other stuff. Okay, so that's, again, one way of abstaining. So the second way is partaking of permitted food in a more liberal fashion, aiming for moderation and pleasure without extravagance or profligacy. Okay, which is not in a hefker mood. Okay, not ownerless, in an ownerless manner. For example, by meeting one's basic needs with good food, good bread, and finely prepared dishes, by drinking wine in moderation. The same applies to dress, living accommodations, and other needs. So I can, he's saying, first level is divorce yourself from everything. Just have what you need. That's the best. Okay, that's the best for abstinence purposes. But then, if you can't do that, so let's up the ante. You can eat what you like, but with moderation. And the third way is overindulging in permitted pleasures purely for the sake of luxury. This leads one to forbidden pleasures and keeps him from performing the duties he owes God, as it says, lest you quaff and forget that which is decreed. Or okay, lest you drink, right? So again, you can also overindulge. That's not going to be good. So the one way is I'm giving up a lot of stuff, fine, but I'm only eating when I need to eat in order to go. By the way, if I do that, what's going to happen is I'm going to be, I won't be overweight, right? I'm going to be in decent shape. If I give in to myself a little, so that's what diet, it's interesting, many diets will say that you shouldn't cut out the foods you like. You should eat them, but you should save them for whatever. You know, count your calories. So if you know you're going to a simcha, so what you do is you eat less during the day because you know you're going to pig out at the what do you call it? At the smorg and everything else. And you know, I want to know something. People like to pig out the smorgasbord as well as everything else. As a person who's worked in caterers and eat my wife's home cooking, there's nothing that will ever compare to her home cooking. And I don't understand when I eat the stuff. Okay, you're eating because it's there, but it's really not that great. It's a shame. It's not that great. And so we stuff things down our throat because it's there. That's overindulgence. That's the third level already. That's what we do. When we go to smorgs, when we do all these things, when you go to all-you-can-eat buffets, in the old days, they used to do it at Howard Johnson's for the breakfast. You had an all-you-could-eat for $2. You could,
somewhere was like that.
yeah, you can. There are plenty of places like that. Now they don't charge $2. Now they charge $20. But the point is that when you go in, so people will fast the entire day so they can get the $20 worth. Or if you go to a barbecue. Go to a barbecue. How many hamburgers do you normally take at the supper? 1, 2, tops. Okay. You go to a barbecue, you have to have at least three to four. What do you call it? Hamburger, a couple of hot dogs, a whole bunch of potato chips. It's not. Otherwise, you haven't done anything. You overeat, and then you can say, okay, the Alka-Seltzer commercial, I can't believe I ate the whole thing. Okay, but that's really what it is, and he's saying that's no good. Okay, overindulging is never good. So you should practice abstinence from the permitted pleasures, my brother, to the best of your ability, so that you come to regard them as in the same class with the pleasures that are forbidden to you. Otherwise, you may forsake the Torah and neglect your duty. Because what's going to happen if you get sick? You can't daven, right? If you, when people eat, they're going to, in a couple of days, they're going to eat turkey. Something in turkey makes you very sleepy. I forget what it's called.
Tryptophan.
What is it?
Tryptophan.
Tryptophan. Good.
Yeah.
Makes you very tired. So what happens? You go to sleep. Now, if you're going to go to sleep in the afternoon, the odds are you're going to miss mincha.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've just done something wrong. Now, what you should do, of course, before you eat turkey is to daven mincha. So you have to make sure that it's the proper time. But all these things you have to be careful with. You know what the Creator, may he be exalted, commanded the king when he said he should not have many wives. Only he should not have many horses. And it says, in Nehemiah, did not Shlomo, the king of Israel, sin on account of these? He had a lot of horses, he had a lot of wives, 300 wives, 700 concubines. The foreign women caused him even him to sin. This despite his powerful intellect, vast knowledge, and great stature. So you're seeing that even if I know what I should be doing, it doesn't. Once I indulge in things that I shouldn't be doing, I give in to myself, that's going to lead me down the wrong path. That's what he's hinting to when he picks on Shlomo HaMelech. Because Shlomo was the smartest of all men. He could answer all questions, and yet when it came to marrying the women and making all these peace treaties with everybody and getting ultimately 300 wives, 700 concubines, and having to deal with all their father-in-laws. Okay, so even though he himself did not worship to the idols that these people brought to Israel, he allowed it to happen, and he thought he could overcome it, and the answer was no. Okay. So inner detachment, in keeping with your understanding. Be careful and guard your soul by abstaining in your heart and thought from all that may keep you from Hashem's commandments, even if you are unable to free yourself from matters of the next world because you are busily engaged in securing necessary provisions and a livelihood in this world. As our masters of blessed memory have reported, many of them would labor for the needs of this world while at the same time remaining inwardly detached from it. Abba Chalkiah, for instance, hired himself as a hoer of the soil. Shammai worked as a builder. Hillel made his living as a wood chopper. So you're seeing that the rabbis had jobs besides learning. And again, that's where the brilliance comes from, because they were involved in the world. And they were learning, and their entire life was surrounded by Torah. So now they saw everything through the lens of Torah, and they could thus rule it properly. Do not let your inner detachment prevent you from working at your trade, for in doing this work you are in compliance with Hashem's service, as we have stated previously. When, however, you are able to lay aside worldly activity, give it up for the sake of, give it up for the sake of your Creator's service. So if I don't have to work, so that what should I do? I should do Hashem's service. When you are unable to do this, because you must provide for your livelihood, do not be content with what we have spoken of, for the one who observes your innermost thoughts will help you fulfill your aspirations to serve Him. As our masters of blessed memory said, whoever fulfills the Torah in the midst of poverty will in the end fulfill it in the midst of riches. Whoever neglects the Torah because of riches will in the end neglect it because of poverty. Whatever we train ourselves to do will be what we do. So if I'm always seeing Torah as the ikar of my life, the main point, then no matter what, I'm going to make sure I study Torah. So even if I start out having to work, when Hashem gives me the wherewithal to have the cash flow going in the right way, and I no longer have to be at a job, okay, or the four-letter word, work. Dirty word. Okay. So then I would, by nature, have trained myself to want to learn Torah, and I would end up in the kollel, or as Moshe Kessler used to call it, the Moshe Zakenim, the settlement of the elders, where we all get to sit and learn. Okay, that should be the goal. And on the other hand, if I'm saying, I'm working, I don't have time for Torah, even though I have plenty of money and I could hire somebody to learn Torah with me, nonetheless, if I neglect it then, so even when I lose the money and now I have to work again, I'm not going to be able to learn again. So it's all a matter of how I train myself. And I always pick on the rich people here. What's their name? In Canada. There's a family in Canada who is very rich. And I forget their name. Reichman. Very rich. And a lot of property. And in the middle of the day, 12 o'clock, from 12 to 2, is well known that you cannot get a telephone call into them. Why? Because they hired the rabbi to learn to learn with them for 2 hours, 12 to 2, in the middle of the day. And Baruch Hashem, they're quite successful. But they didn't want to lose out of the learning. So they made sure that the guy would come in. That's what you call a personal rabbi. But that was the reputation they had. Okay, but that's what it is. So now, they would train themselves, even in their riches, they're going to set aside the time, because that was the main thing. So you should endeavor to restrain your senses and the motions of your external limbs, as I will now describe to you. Begin by restraining your tongue and closing your lips. Refrain from idle words, so that moving your heaviest limb seems easier to you than moving your tongue. Or the expression goes, that which goes in your mouth is as important as that which goes out of your mouth. Because you're going to worry about kashrut and you're going to get the best, the best of everything. So you should be careful what comes out too. Okay, for the tongue is the part of the body that is quickest to sin, and its sins are more numerous than those of all the rest, because of its swiftness and quick motion, because of the facility with which it is done, and because of its ability to do good or evil without any intermediary. You know why we have teeth, right? It's a gate. It's a gate. If you don't open your mouth, the words don't, unless you're a ventriloquist, the words don't come out.
Or you talk through your teeth like this.
Right.
When you're mad at your kids most of the time.
Okay. But that's what they say. They say that the lips, they say the lips are the gate to your mouth. But again, we have what we call ventriloquists, so the ventriloquists get it out. Okay. It is therefore your duty, my brother, to endeavor to curb and control it. Do not allow it any speech unless absolutely necessary for your religious or secular needs. Curtail superfluous speech as much as you can. Perhaps you will escape its injury. As the wise one said, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Okay? Or as somebody once said, it's a saying, better to be quiet and to let me think you're a fool than to open your mouth and prove it. Something like that.
Benjamin Franklin.
That's what he said? Yeah. So here we have this, the Bali Musra is saying the same thing. Make sure you only speak when you need to speak. Really consider these words, because they can make it or break it. And how many people have lost their jobs based upon loose lips? Loose lips sink ships.
Yeah.
Okay, all these statements that come out is quite true. Okay, and by the way, Hashem also takes this into consideration. When a tzaddik says something, Hashem says, okay. For instance, Yehuda said to his father, if I don't bring back Binyamin to you, so I would have sinned against you in both this world and next. Well, even though he does bring Binyamin back, Hashem said, well, you said it, so it's going to happen. And his bones rattled. In other words, he wouldn't in his coffin for all those years until Moshe finally davened on behalf of him and said, okay, let him rest already. That's 210 years later. Okay, then you have others which also said things which, if they wouldn't, I brought up with Yitzchak. Yitzchak said to Yishmael, when Yishmael said, when I was 13, I had a brit milah. When you were 8, you had 8 days old. They did. You had no choice. I had a choice. So to which Yitzchak responded, you only did it with one limb. If Hashem would tell me to sacrifice myself, I would gladly do it. Well, what happens? 37 years later, he's on the altar. What?
In the spotlight.
Right, he's in the spotlight. So again, you're going to open your mouth. You better be prepared to live up with that. You don't know, and that's why death and life are in the power of the tongue. Begin with the tongue before the other senses and members, because it is more difficult to control than the others. As David, peace be upon him, said, "Who is the man who desires life, who yearns to see good in his days? Guard your tongue from evil, your lips from deceitful speak." The exhortations in our holy books to limit speech are no secret. They are numerous and prominent. And again, if you want to really see it, we have the book here. It's Guard Your Tongue, which is a very nice English book by Pliskin, I think it was. And then the Chafetz Chaim in Hebrew is really a lot of things that when we realize how we shouldn't be speaking, to guard ourselves from that, because it just hurts us. It really just hurts us. We think we're making friends by denigrating others, but it doesn't work. It really is not a good situation. If you should wish to corroborate what I have said about the many sins involved in speech, undertake to remember the words that left your mouth during the day, when you were together with other people and mingling with them. If you can write it all down, do so. Later at night, when you are not preoccupied with the affairs, go over your words and reflect on them. You will see what portion of your speech was necessary, what was superfluous and of no benefit to you, and what was injurious to you. For example, falsehood, tale-bearing, oaths, and slander. Then you will recognize your defect and see your corruption. Faithfully note this in yourself as you note the corruption in your enemy. Okay, that's how you have to look at that. Do not persist in this for a short while only, but do it for a long period until your tongue is refined and your words become few. Okay. Instead of talking a great deal, contemplate at length, meditate constantly, and engage in introspection. For contemplation is a lamp that you bring into your heart. Introspection is a sun that illuminates the darkness of your inner life, revealing to you the good and the evil hidden inside. And the tongue is the gate of the inner life. If the tongue is out of control and does not carefully guard what is in the inner realm, the gate of the treasury is left unattended. What you would not want to escape escapes, and what you would not approve of being revealed is revealed. If, on the other hand, you guard the gate, you guard the treasury and its contents. That's period. Okay. If, on the other hand, you guard the gate, you guard the treasury and its contents. There you go. I knew something was wrong there. As a wise one says, even a fool, if he keeps silent, is considered wise. By the way, that's Mishlei. That wasn't Benjamin Franklin. Okay. So
he was well read.
Right?
He was well read.
That's right. Okay. It's what you call saying it in a different manner, but that's what he said. Plagiarism. It's interesting that we credit Benjamin Franklin with Mishlei, with Proverbs. You know, it's interesting. Do not rush into your speech, nor let your heart be hasty to utter a word before Hashem. That's Koheles. Do not let your mouth cause you to sin. Next, endeavor to shut your eyes and limit your sense of sight, so that you do not look at what you do not need to see, or at what would distract you from reflecting on what would benefit you. Abstain from looking that is superfluous, as you would abstain from something that would harm you. The Creator cautioned us in this regard. Do not stray after your heart and eyes, he says every day in Shema. And our masters of blessed memory said, the heart and the eye are the two agents of sin. Instead, use your sense of sight, your vision, to behold the creations of the Creator, may he be exalted, to examine them and to reflect upon them, and to apprehend them through them the Creator's power, wisdom, and goodness. As David said, peace be upon him, when I see your heavens, the work of your fingers, the heavens tell of the glory of God, and the rest of that song. Okay, fine. So then endeavor to stop your ears. So first you start with the tongue, then you went to your eyes. Now you're going to your ears. Then endeavor to stop your ears from hearing what you do not need to hear. Abstain as best you can from listening that is superfluous. Do not strain to hear what you will not profit from hearing, such as superfluous speech, lies, tale-bearing, and slander. Now, if I listen to what's going on in the world today with fake news, blah, 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 I'm going to stop listening to everything, and I'm just going to learn Torah all day, because you don't even know what's true, what's not true anymore. It's just unbelievable. So abstain. So he would be saying basically, turn off the TV, turn off the radio, turn off everything, and don't ever buy a newspaper. Okay?
Today, yeah.
You don't know what you're getting. So abstain from what would lead you to rebel against Hashem and forsake His commandments, such as various kinds of song and music. And by the way, it's very interesting. When we were young, and we all have different ages among some when we were young, we had a certain type of music we liked, and our parents abhorred. Okay, I finally dealt with that as I was driving back from Skokie. Okay, and I finally understood my father. Turn that garbage off. Okay, because I like certain types of music. My kids like the other things, and I said, and I was trying to. I heard my father's voice. The truth is, I heard my father's voice, and I said, "No, I'm not going. I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to give it a chance because I know what these kids feel like." And I gave it. To me, it felt like a lifetime. But I said, "Turn that garbage off. I can't take this garbage." It was really, and I said to my wife though, I said, "It's so interesting how whoever figures out the music of that generation wins, because everybody copies it. It's all just the same thing over and over and over again." So, but you're listening and you're saying this is pure trash. At least country has, I like country. So at least country has something there as a storyline. Unlike the other ones, the love songs of the 70s or 80s, they also were garbage. Okay, you agree? Good. God agreed. Okay.
Affirmation.
But it was something, again, but the kids of the 80s liked it. Kids of the 70s liked it. It was always the kids. The parents didn't like it. So you're getting the same thing here. You're saying there's various types of music and songs of music. When you listen to rap, I haven't listened to rap in a heck of a long time, but it was disgusting when I first heard it. And I was thinking, why would people like this? The best rap, by the way, was a rap from the 30s. In the 1930s, there were people who would talk through the song, which is rap. It was rap. And you know what? It was funny. It was good. That was from the 30s. I remember because I was listening to an oldies. When I was driving one time, it was at an AM, and I was listening to this, and I was thinking, I like this. This is very good. But you couldn't do it today. I mean, it wouldn't work today. But I'm just saying that's what it is. But so you have these songs, music, jesting and merrymaking, which divert you from your religious duties and good deeds. So you don't want to do that. So instead, incline your ear to the words of the wise who know God and His Torah. As the wise one said, incline your ear to hear words of the wise. The ear, another time, the ear that heeds the reproof of life abides among the wise. So he would tell you, Rabbi Bachya would be advertising to go to Rabbi Neville to listen to the 723 at this point videos, or go to ou.org, go to yu.edu, or whatever they are, okay? And certainly Aish and so on and so forth, Chabad. You would want to listen to those sort of things, and then that's what you want to hear, okay? And you don't want to hear the other stuff out there. So next, endeavor to limit the sense of taste by partaking of enough food and drink to meet your basic needs. Again, he's hitting on the eating, but abstaining from anything beyond this. The strategy for achieving this is as follows: cut down on varied condiments. Okay, so you don't want to eat so much at the smoke. Okay, sustain yourself with one condiment if you can, and be as satisfied with as little of it as possible. So I guess you can only have one potato chip. Okay.
As a condiment, he's talking about like, I mean, I generally hear the word condiment, like mustard, ketchup, stuff like that. But he's talking about like little side dishes, which aren't really the main
finger
meal.
foods.
Yeah. Okay.
It should, nobody's, unless you're a little kid, you're not going to have ketchup. You're not going to let ketchup have it. Little kids will do it, but little babies. But otherwise, they don't.
Not always little babies.
Oh, you still like it? Okay.
Not me.
Okay.
It's child.
Okay.
Well, I
It's
haven't seen him eat spoonfuls in a while though, but he's
Baruch
definitely
Hashem.
used to.
Baruch Hashem. I wouldn't want to see it. That would kill me. Yeah, okay. It should be eaten not for pleasure, but to facilitate the consumption of the bread. Now, that's, by the way, that's what appetizers were originally all about. It was supposed to open your appetite to get the meal. The appetizers were not supposed to be the meal.
Yeah.
Okay. Accustom yourself to doing without any condiment occasionally, so as to train your nature and make it easier for yourself when such a dish is lacking. If you can forgo the condiment, which entails work and effort in its preparation, and sustain yourself with food that requires no work at all, such as olives, cheese, figs, grapes, and the like, do so. Okay, so you can have fruit.
Wait, hold on.
Yes?
Cheese.
What about cheese?
Prep cheese. You have to work the cheese.
No, you put it in and it's just making it. It coagulates on its own, no?
Yeah, but you have
Okay.
olives, figs, grapes,
Okay.
all those things.
So apparently he wasn't making cheese, but doesn't take that much effort.
In these days,
guessing.
this hard cheese, very hard cheese, I would assume that would last a while without refrigeration. Huh?
It's all
The
spoiled milk
hard
anyway.
cheese they talk about was like we were talking about, like it's
Right.
bricks. You know,
Right. It's all spoiled milk anyway.
Not like what we call hard cheese today.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, probably. I hear what you're saying though, but I'm guessing that what he's saying is, unlike when I have to prepare something like chicken or
he's
something,
cooking
when I have to
fancy
cook
stuff
something,
together, right?
and I'm putting fancy stuff together, as compared to this where I'm putting in a mixture and it's coagulating because I threw the rennet in. And so it's going to take, I don't know how long it takes to make cheese, but whatever it's going to take. If your custom is to eat 2 meals daily, let your meal be by day be lighter than the one in the evening, so that your mobility be easy during the day and you attend more easily to your religious and secular concerns. This also is interesting because he says the day should be lighter than the evening, which is how we eat today, but the Europeans eat the exact opposite way.
Yeah.
They would have the heavy meal in the morning, the biggest meal in the morning, and work their way up because it's better for the digestion. So it's interesting. He would argue that. Okay, then, if your constitution is strong, engage in fasting, even 1 day a week. Do all that you can to condition yourself not to become so concerned about food and drink. Become self-disciplined. Your purpose in eating should be more for good health than for satisfaction. And we're going to have to stop here.
Okay.